The city streets glistened under the daylight drizzle, the kind that turns everything golden yet melancholic. A sleek black car screeched to a halt near a narrow alley, and moments later, a woman stumbled out, her white suit stained with mud, her heels broken, and fear flickering in her wide eyes. She was a woman used to control, to power, to boardrooms where her word was law. But now, trembling and drenched in rain, she was just a helpless soul running from something she couldn't fight. Her name was Evelyn Hart, the youngest CEO of a billion-dollar company. Yet at that moment, stripped of all protection and pride, she was nothing but a terrified human whispering, "Please, don't hurt me." Before we dive into this emotional journey of courage, redemption, and unexpected kindness, if you believe that kindness and second chances can truly change lives, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Thread. Your support helps us spread hope, one story at a time. Evelyn's day had started like any other: meetings, contracts, numbers, and decisions. She had always been strong, unshakable, the woman who built her empire from scratch after losing everything to betrayal years ago. But fate is cruel when it wants to humble pride. That afternoon, a corporate deal turned into a nightmare. Her trusted business partner had forged documents, siphoned funds, and framed her in a crime she didn't commit. When she confronted him, he turned violent. Terrified and desperate, she escaped from her own building, her driver missing, her phone snatched. Running barefoot down a quiet alley, she realized how fragile even the strongest can be when their world collapses. Her knee gave way, and she fell, scraping her skin on the wet pavement. The rain masked her tears, but inside she was breaking. The powerful woman who once commanded hundreds now whispered to herself, "No one will help me, they only see power, not pain." The sound of approaching footsteps froze her heart. She pressed herself against the brick wall, trembling, whispering again, "Please, don't hurt me." But instead of the face she feared, she saw a man kneeling beside her, rugged, calm, and gentle-eyed, wearing a gray t-shirt soaked from the rain. He had a leather tool bag slung across his shoulder and hands that looked used to hard work, not harm. Behind him stood a little girl, no older than 5, wearing a yellow raincoat and holding a small pink umbrella. The man's name was Liam Carter, a single dad who worked as a carpenter, raising his daughter Lily alone since his wife passed away 3 years ago. He looked at Evelyn with concern, not curiosity. She flinched as he reached out, her mind still in panic, but his voice broke through the storm, calm, grounding, and human. "You're hurt. I'm not going to touch you unless you say it's okay." Something in his tone, the quiet respect, the restraint, made her nod weakly. He helped her sit up, shielding her from the rain with his jacket, while little Lily stood close, her innocent eyes full of sympathy. Evelyn's designer blazer clung to her skin, her hair matted, mascara streaked, but what truly shattered her was the realization that she had no one to call. Liam offered to drive her home, but she refused, too ashamed, too proud, too scared of being seen weak. So he took her and Lily to a small cafe nearby, where the owner knew him. He brought her tea and a towel, asking nothing in return. For a long time, Evelyn just stared at the cup, her hands trembling. No one had cared for her without expecting something back in years. That simple act, a stranger's kindness, felt more healing than any victory she'd ever celebrated. As hours passed, she began to speak, haltingly, about her life. She told him how she had fought her way from poverty, how betrayal had taught her not to trust, how success had turned her into a fortress of cold ambition. Liam listened without interrupting, his eyes steady, full of understanding that only comes from loss. When she asked about him, he smiled sadly and said, "I just try to build things that last, even if it's only a wooden table or my daughter's smile." Over the next few days, their paths intertwined again. Liam found her sitting by the same cafe window more than once, lost in thought. Each time, he'd sit across and silently offer her company. He didn't treat her like a CEO or a charity case, just a person. Slowly, Evelyn began to heal. She laughed again, she shared stories, and she even met Lily at the park on weekends. The little girl adored her, calling her Miss Evie, and would draw her pictures with hearts and sunshine. But life doesn't heal without testing. When the police called Evelyn with news that her ex-partner had been arrested, they asked her to testify. The thought of facing that man again made her stomach twist. She hadn't told Liam everything, that the threats hadn't stopped, that she was still being followed. That night, she sat in her penthouse, staring at the city lights, remembering the alley, the rain, and the men who made her believe kindness still existed. She realized that strength wasn't in power or control, it was in vulnerability, in trusting goodness again. The next morning, she went to the small workshop where Liam built furniture. He was sanding a wooden chair while Lily painted beside him. When Evelyn walked in, her white suit replaced by simple jeans and a cardigan, he looked up and smiled, a real, human smile that made her feel seen. She told him everything, the fear, the betrayal, the court case. "I don't think I can do it," she whispered. "I can't walk into that courtroom alone." He didn't give her a speech or false promises. He just placed his hand over hers and said, "Then you won't walk alone." The day of the hearing arrived. Cameras flashed, reporters shouted, and whispers filled the air as Evelyn stepped out of the car. But beside her was Liam, holding her hand firmly, his quiet presence anchoring her like a lighthouse in a storm. Lily stood in the background with her yellow raincoat, waving at her like a tiny symbol of hope. Evelyn took a deep breath and walked inside, her fear replaced by something new, courage born from kindness. She faced her betrayer, spoke the truth, and didn't falter once. When it was over, the courtroom erupted in murmurs. Evelyn had not just cleared her name, she had reclaimed her dignity. Afterward, she walked out into the daylight. The rain had stopped, and sunlight broke through the clouds. She turned to Liam, eyes glistening, and said, "I used to think power meant never needing anyone. But now, I know true power is having someone who stands beside you when you fall." He smiled quietly, and for the first time in years, Evelyn felt peace, not the kind that comes from success, but from the warmth of a heart finally at rest. From that day on, she didn't disappear back into her corporate tower. Instead, she used her resources to start a foundation that helped single parents and struggling families rebuild their lives. Liam became part of it, leading the team that built homes and community centers. Evelyn and Lily became inseparable, laughter replaced fear, love replaced loneliness, and the woman who once cried in an alley found her second chance in the most unexpected place. If this story touched your heart, if you believe that kindness can change even the darkest moments, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Thread. Your engagement helps us spread hope to millions. Before you go, tell us in the comments, do you believe one act of kindness can truly change a life forever?